If you're a new Dungeon Master wondering what kind of stuff you need to run D&D, you are in the right video, because today we are literally going to take a tour of everything I use to run my games. And if you're a vet, maybe you'll spot something you don't already have. Now, not everything I show you today is required to run D&D, of course. So I will be explaining the utility of each item, why I use it, and then you can determine whether you think you need it or not. And I do want to say that having a bunch of cool DM gear will not necessarily make your games awesome. Being a great game master isn't something you can just throw money at. In fact, some of the best GMs get by with little more than paper, pencil, dice, and their brains. The truth is, you actually need very little to run a tabletop RPG. It's really just a question of which cool toys you want to augment your game. That said, let's get to it. And the first thing you're probably going to need are the core books for whatever game system you happen to be playing, whether it is Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder 2, or Castles and Crusades, or Dungeon Crawl Classics. Okay, and the next thing that you're gonna, oh, what's this? A little doggy. Well, you probably don't need a little doggy, but what you do need is a place to play. This is a gaming table. It has chairs, there's a table, oh, and a level up riser. These things are super, super useful. A place with enough space is super, super useful, I must add. However, when in a pinch, you could make do with a beautiful little utility closet like this. It's probably got enough space in here. And if you are fortunate enough to have access to a nice wooded area like this, I'm gonna tell you, if a player gets out of line and you gotta take care of business, there's lots of place out here where you can just, bury their corpse and stuff. But of course, if you don't have a nice outdoor area like that, and you don't have an indoor area where you can play, then you can always go to like a game shop or something like that. Most of them have even private rooms sometimes where you can play. This right here is completely optional, but it just tells players that if we're going outside, watch out. All right, and from there, oh, looks like the little doggy is taking a nap. So let's go to where we keep the big boy stuff, the dice and the dice trays. Dice trays are really cool, very, very useful. And bags of dice, this is all the dice I have. It's not a whole lot of dice, but it gets the job done. Yay, dice! And then we have office supplies, notebooks, paper, pencils are useful as well. And this is like just in case you get bored playing D&D, you have like backup games, right? Branded mugs also are very, very nice. All right, and then going over here, well, you don't really need all of this stuff, all this recording stuff, but I mean, it's pretty cool, right? Oh, the cat litter box. Just, you might need that. You might need that. Oh, but there is one thing that I forgot. Let us come over here to our bookcase once again. Here we have a Game Master screen. You set this bad boy up at your gaming table to hide your notes, maybe even hide some dice rolls you plan on fudging, and then lots of Game Master screens have reference material on the other side, which is super, super, super useful. There are also some that are just empty with plastic pockets, and then you can make your own reference notes and put them on the back. All right, now let's go into the dungeon part of my basement. And over here, I have the red bag. I can put almost everything I need for a game in this bag, and we're gonna rip this apart and look at some of the stuff I have in it. And then up here, I have a little mini toolbox. Tackle box has most of the minis, but other little things I use in my games. And then I have another tackle box that I can put even more minis in if I need to. All right, but we're gonna grab this bad boy right here and go back to the table and open it up and see what's inside. Okay, we have opened the bag up and now we are going to dissect it. We have a giant book of battle mats. This is pretty useful. Just a bunch of maps in here just in case you need them. Those are pretty slick. Who makes this? Loki Battle Maps. Mats. And we have Pathfinder flip mats. These are super, super useful. Check this crap out. Woo, it just big old massive thing unfolds. It is dry erase. It is red erase. Erase. I speak like Elmer Fudd. And then it's got two sides. And there is a second one that comes in here. Woo! It is double-sided, so you can use both sides. Super useful. All right, and these dry erase dungeon tiles by Roll for Initiative are really cool too. It's basically just dungeon tiles and they fit together. They're like little puzzles. You can make them as big or as small as you need them for your game table. I use these almost exclusively now for my Pathfinder 2 game. All right, and then these condition markers are super, super useful. They, hex condition if you're playing 5th edition. I even use these for my Pathfinder 2 games, and I just throw these around a miniature, and like we know it has some condition on it, and then it'll remind us to actually apply that condition. So even if you're not running 5th edition, I still get use out of these. And by the way, I didn't mention this, but I have links down in the description and stuff where you guys can see a lot of these products that I'm talking about. All right. Oh, we have more dice trays just in case I need some. Those are flat and can be snapped together. And I have, oh look, another Dungeon Master screen. That one's for 5th edition, and the backside has almost useless content on it because the first one they designed was pretty much worthless. And then I have some dry erase, what are these called? Things that I can write on? Yeah, they're something like that. I got some extra little documents in here and some spare player sheets, character sheets in case people die. Right, and then in the front side of the bag, this is just full of pencils and erasers for folks. Here I have my dry erase markers and my wet erase markers, which are needed if you're going to be using these dungeon tiles or the Pathfinder flip mats right here. Spares in case the other ones die. Oh, look at this. Sand timers. Those come in handy for folks. A lot of times what I use these for is if somebody casts a spell like Speak with Dead, it only gives them like 1 minute duration. I'll pull out one of these that has a 1 minute duration and rock and roll. Oh, I found a bag of dice hiding in here. I lied. I have more dice than I told you before. And then I have a thing full of index cards. Now some of these I have written NPC information on. Others are just blank index cards. These are super, super useful in your games. Okay, now that we have made an absolute mess out of my big red bag, we're gonna go check something else out. All right, we are gonna open up this bad boy right here and take a look at what's inside. All right, tour time. Okay, these guys right here are super, super useful. Let me show you what I use these for. Basically, you take these little things here. They are index cards folded in half, and you put them on top of your Game Master screen. And then you can track initiative. On the back side, you can see what the turn order is. And then on the front side, your players can see what the turn order is. Super, super useful, even though my camera won't go in focus right now. You can spend tons of money on some fancy initiative tracker or use little index cards like this. Take your pick. Now, this tackle box right here has mostly just a bunch of different props like chests and like tables. Over here I have doors. All these doors I painted myself. And then I have some HeroQuest doors, yay! And then there's a whole bunch of HeroQuest furniture down in here as well that I keep and use from time to time. And I have this right here, this cool wooden chest that I bought recently. And inside I have gold coins, which I just got not too long ago, which are super cool as a prop to use in the games. Yay. Oh, and I almost forgot, these little guys right here were a gift from a player, Kevin, I believe, and they're basically just used to track initiative, if not initiative, inspiration. If you have inspiration, you put a little dice in here, and then you know you have inspiration. And if you're using like Pathfinder 2 hero points and you can have more than one, then you can put a die here, and if the die shows a 2 on it, well, you know you have 2 hero points. All right, and now we are gonna open up this one right here. Prepare your mind to be blown by the awesome contents of this tackle box. It's mostly empty. I don't actually use it like hardly at all anymore. But if you have miniatures, a tackle box like this is about perfect. Medium-sized miniatures go up here in these smaller containers. And then down in here, I just put some cardboard, some dividers in here. And you can put your larger miniatures down here. This works super, 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 super well. And the little froggy guys, you gotta have some of the froggy guys for your games. Like, totally a requirement. Okay, and now the final thing that I use in my games are my miniatures. And I love using miniatures. These things are like some of my prized possessions, and my focus isn't going very well on my camera, but all of these miniatures here, I have painted myself. I have almost no miniatures that were pre-painted or that somebody else painted. These are all my own paint jobs, and they start off as unpainted like this, obviously. And then using paints like these, I make them look a whole lot better. And there are other supplies I use as well. These guys right here were getting assembled and glued together, which is why they have the rubber bands on them, just holding them in place. Of course, miniatures like these are 100% optional, even if you want to use those flip maps. You can use something like shirt buttons, those little buttons that you can buy, the replacement buttons that for shirts, just use those, or M&Ms or peanuts or something. There's a whole bunch of different things you can use if you don't have cool miniatures. Now you might be saying, but Luke, what about the adventures I'll need to run at my games? Well, lots of GMs make their own adventures because for many of us, that's half the fun of running tabletop RPGs. And if you'd like help with creating your own adventures, I do have a D&D adventure creation playlist of videos that show you how to do just that. However, if you'd like pre-made adventures that you can use in your games, my team and I actually create loads of D&D 5e and Pathfinder 2 adventures in Lair magazine. DM Lair adventures are professionally developed and contain everything you need to run the game. Read aloud text, area descriptions, role-playing notes, encounter notes, we cover it all in our adventures. We also design them so that they are easy to use, prep for your games, and then run at the game table. Our goal is to make everything as easy as possible for game masters. Furthermore, Lair Magazine adventures are available as both PDFs and Foundry VTT modules. You can pick up our adventures and Lair Magazine over on the DM Lair store, or by becoming a DM Lair patron at the links below. Now, if I missed some important GM gear in my list, please let us know down in the comments. And if you'd like to learn how to create your own D&D adventures, click right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.